Hey, so in this video, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about one thing that I think is really, really big for me in my life and has helped me. So I'm a software engineer. I graduated from University of Florida. I've solved over 1,000 Leetcode problems. Been in the industry for 5 years, working at Fortune 30 companies. I, I've done and learned a lot of things, kind of in my life. And so the point of me making this video is that I want to break down kind of how I started from this journey, going from when I started my actual life. It was I was not super, I didn't come from a rich family. I was in a lower middle class. Actually, I mean, probably, yeah. I was in not even, I don't even know if I don't even know if you would consider it middle class, honestly. I have a little question. What do you think is the biggest predictor of someone's income over their life? And we actually have an answer. There was a study done by researchers, and they determined that, okay, the biggest predictor, it's not your race, it's not your IQ, it's not your gender, it's not whether you have a college degree. There's something even bigger than that that actually just massively affects the income. And it's your zip code. It is where you live. And I mentioned this to bring this up is that if you took me just on some kind of plotted me on some chart from 20 years ago, whatever, and you were okay, where's this guy gonna go? Where is he gonna be at? It was not my zip code was not great. I did not have my family didn't have money. The people in my neighborhood did not have money. Still somehow I went to probably one of the best colleges. Actually, I went to one of the, if not the best university in the state of Florida. I graduated with a job in programming, nonetheless, of course, for my channel, and went on to become a software engineer and continue achieving things. And so I want to talk about okay, well, how did I make this leap? Because which I honestly think is it's pretty hard. I don't think that society is kind of in a way where the upward mobility of someone who's comes from a poor neighborhood can suddenly just drastically kind of push through. Although I think it's possible, but I don't think it's an easy journey. The point of this video is I want to talk about, at least just in my personal experience, what has been the actual big unlock. Again, just for me, and maybe this will help you guys. I don't know, or maybe it'll help somebody listening. And so. The biggest unlock for me was just loving learning. For my biggest superpower above just the vast majority of people are that I just look at is that I love learning. I love trying different things. I love learning new things. When I was in middle school, high school, elementary school, I loved picking up some books and just trying to learn physics, although it never happened, right? I sucked at physics until I went to actual college, but I was just curious and okay, how can I learn this thing? What can I do to learn this thing? Only reason that I picked programming as a profession was because I tried it out a little bit. I was I want to learn, what is this? Did it for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. And I was oh, well, this isn't that bad. And also I looked and I knew okay, well, they pay a lot too. I want to contrast this to what I see when other software engineers that I talk to. So there's a channel that I love his channel. His name's Coding Jesus, and he just does just these free calls, call-ins with his viewers, and he'll just grill them and give them interview prep or whatever. He works in a quant or whatever, so his questions are a little bit weird in my opinion. It is just so funny to me, seeing these computer science people hop on the call. They say they can't get a job, and he says, okay, I'm going to help give you a prep interview. Do you know what an array and a linked list is? And then they can't answer that question. That is mind-boggling to me, because this is something that's super fundamental, something that you learn in your classes, and they cannot answer any of these questions. And then they say, I want a job. It's not fair that I can't get a job. And they don't even know the things that are taught in their classes. And it when I see that, I'm just thinking, you obviously don't care about learning. It is so blatantly obvious. You were either cheating through all of your classes, you're either asking for help, getting your homeboys, your homies, to go do your assignments for you while you goofed around. I have no idea what you were doing for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, whatever. And now you want to graduate and then just make a ton of money as a software engineer. And like that was like your expectation. That was the big idea. Again, this is something that like this would never, like I never would have had that thought that like you don't work at all and then you just get rewarded for it. I can't even like I can't think of a time period. I cannot think of a situation, any like type of thing where you do nothing and then you just get rewarded. And the only like actual case that I could think of is like if you're like a trust fund kid. So like your parents, if your parents are like really, really rich and then they give you an inheritance, they give you housing, they give you all these things, like they help you with that stuff. Which, I mean, that's not even for a trust fund specifically, but that's just like if you were born in a rich family, well, then they give you things. That's one of the only situations I could think of. Or I guess if someone you're dating is rich. But in that sense too, I think you're working on the relationship, so which I think is fine. But I can't imagine just any other scenarios where like you just do nothing and then you just get things handed to you. I mentioned this to say like this is again okay. And I mentioned this to say that like this is opposite of like my view. Like I would never sit in a class and then just like not do anything and then like not even think about like my future or I wouldn't even like, but like even going stretch beyond that, I would never like just not learn something or sign up thinking it was going to be free money. And I noticed that a lot of software engineers are doing that, and like that is actually like destroying. Like that is why they cannot get a job, is because they never actually cared about programming to begin with, or they just don't even care about like just learning to actually pass the interviews. And I don't know if this is like, and I don't know if there's like a disconnect, and that people think that because their parents tell them to go to college and then they choose like some random degree, and that because like I don't know if they think that when they graduate, because they have a piece of paper, that means that like they just get a job. I don't know. I hope that's not the expectation, is that like, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get a piece of paper, and then all the jobs will come to me. And again, personally, I don't like that as like an idea. I don't like it as a kind of way of thinking. But I think a lot of people have that thought because they complain like when they don't have a job, or they put in just very little effort into like getting a job. That's very worrying because it feels like you are just like expecting that. Which I think is like, it's something that can just really never happen, where you have a person who does nothing and then like their environment actually gets better. I haven't really seen that. And so anyways, I just don't think it works. To give an example of like what I'm talking about when I mean like learning, is that when I was in high school, I was like just really bad at Spanish. Like I wasn't really bad at Spanish, but I was just average, right? Like, so like I would have to study a lot. It was like really hard. I was struggling, and I wasn't like stellar. I was like literally just average. And if you had looked at me again, like 20 years ago, if in elementary school, like that would have been me like just holistically throughout everything as just, oh, well, he's just like average. Like he's not like, he's good. He's not like the best or whatever. In Spanish, what I did is I went online and then I looked, okay, how can you get better at Spanish? So I was like, okay, I want to get better at Spanish. So I looked that up, and then they're like, okay, well, you should practice the language. You should like watch things. You should read things in the language. You should talk to other people in the language. So that's what I did. And so I did that almost every single day. I would watch like some television shows in Spanish, and then I would go, and there's like an online like communities like for people learning languages. And so you could just talk to random people on the internet in the language you were learning. And so that's what I did. And they would speak in like English because they were learning English, and I would speak in Spanish. And I got really, really good at speaking Spanish because I did that like just consistently. And then by the end of it in high school, everyone was like, oh, okay, Raymond's like the Spanish guy. Like he's the Spanish guy. Like he's, oh my God, like he knows the Spanish. He's going to do fine on any of these exams. And I did do fine because like I was at a point where I had already practiced like just so much, and it was just so easy for me. Did the final exams. And you know, got credit, didn't have to take any language class in college. You can apply the same thing to me with programming, where I was like completely average at programming, completely average, and didn't know how to do it. And then I just learned, picked it up, practiced, read online, how do you get better, practiced, and then got better. And overall, like the point of this is that like you just get better by learning. Like it's in each of these stages, at each of these things that I was doing. So whether I was like doing weightlifting, whether I was learning math, whether I was like learning Leetcode, like it was all terrible at the start. Like I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know like how I was going to even be getting better, but I was like, okay, if I just do this every single day, if I just show up every single day, I will get better. And for a lot of software engineers, like they will try 1% of doing leak code. So they'll do half a problem and then give up, or they'll do one problem and then just run away and give up and never see it again. And then nothing changes. They never get better and it just stays the same. Whereas for me, I was like, I really, really need to like one, learn this thing. I really need to learn this thing. And two, like with Spanish, I just liked it. But for Leetcode, it was like, I really need to learn this or else I will not be employed. And I want to be employed. So like, let's just like try to pick this up. And I don't care if I'm not going to know the problems. I'm just going to go in and do it. And I wish more software engineers had that mindset. I don't know if it's something that like can be transmuted. I'm hoping it can. But like, I would prefer like just a mindset shift of like, I can't do this. I'm too stupid. To, oh, I just need to spend more time doing this. Like, yes, it was rough. Yeah, it sucked, but I'm still going to do it. There was another time where I was just terrible at math, like not good enough to get to where I wanted to be in math. And so in college, I was in these like, I was in like these advanced classes with like all these like smart people. The best person in our class went to Yale. Other people went to like MIT and Harvard and whatever. And when we all took like the standardized tests, like the SAT, my score was just like average. It wasn't like, again, it wasn't great, wasn't bad. It was just like average, like literally 50th percentile for across the United States. So not like, like when you're in like prep classes and you're doing like pretty well, which I was actually, because I was working like extremely hard. My grades were really good, but like my SAT thing was just like in the middle. Right. And so something needed to change. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure out how am I going to get better at this test. I looked it up online and they're like, oh, well, you should just do more problems. And then, oh, how do you get faster at reading? Okay. Oh, you just skim. You don't actually read all of like the paragraphs. Okay, cool. I understand. I'll practice that. That's what I did. I went through the test, went through practice test to get better at math, did more problems, figured out what I did wrong, did more problems. And when I actually took the test, I knew the answers like just so much quicker, so much faster, and I did so much better. And I went down from like a 50th percentile across like the United States to 85th percentile. I did this exact same thing also with Leetcode, where I sucked at Leetcode. I was like all the way at the bottom, and now I'm at like top 3%. And people see that. And I think people see that, at least. I don't know, but I think people see that and they think, wow, like you just must be a genius. Like, oh my God, like that just came naturally to you. Like you must have never struggled. I was like, no, what do you mean? No, like I was bad just like you. But the only difference was I just learned and I like practiced. And I was like, I don't care if I'm going to be bad at this. I'm just going to keep going. So overall, like I think people are giving up too early. I think that like they'll idolize people like LeBron, like Curry, Tom Brady, Messi, and they'll like really admire these people for never giving up. And like when it's like in the final minutes of the game, when it's in the final quarter of the game and they're down by like, 2 points, 3 points, whatever, 40 points if it's a football game, they just don't give up, right? And so they keep going, they keep trying, and then it actually works. And I think it's the same for people who like love like a specific anime character. Like they really respect that about the anime character, but then like in reality, like they don't want to do that themselves. Yeah, I mean it's just unfortunate. I think it's rough because again, I think that like I don't think like that you're really asking for a lot. Like if you could just code a project for 30 minutes a day, like you're probably going to be really good at the end of like 5 years. If you could code for 1 hour a day, that'd be great. If you can code for 3, that's even better. And I think like it's almost like just impossible for you to like be bad at programming if you do that. But most people don't do it because they're just like, okay, well, let me just give up. Not even mentioning the fact that like I'm okay spending money to learn something that's going to help make me more money. So when I like sucked at math in college, right? So there's the SAT math, but then there was also learning calculus, which are two completely different beasts. And for calculus, like UF gave us like just free like tutoring at math. And so like I was there like every single day, like trying to figure out how I can do these problems, like sitting down with like these math tutors to help me solve problems from my homework assignments. Cause like if I can't do the homework, then my grade goes down. And obviously like people like failed the class and then they didn't even bother like just going to those classes. So they failed when they had like free tutoring that they could have gone to. And it just seems like it's like crazy. One is that like, okay, there's tons of free resources, like you don't even use them. Okay, that's like one thing. Second thing is like paying, being okay, like just paying for a book, paying for a course, paying for some kind of coach that can help like guide you. Like literally just paying for any of these things. Like I think in tiers of like effectiveness, like a book is like okay, but like I think you still get caught in like a little box where you don't have any outside perspective. And when you have a coach, when you pay for a coach, like they actually tell you, hey, you need to focus on this, this, this. Like when I did mock interviews, or when I paid for mock interviews, I would try doing like the thing, and they would say, oh bro, you need to focus on this, 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 this. So that's another thing I personally I just can't really understand. Like if you have the money, if you especially if you're already in college and you're already like $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 in debt, like bro, and you need the job, or like just like it can probably make a difference. Overall, I just want to say that like if you just like keep going, like just keep trying to learn, like things are most likely going to work out. Especially if you just think about like, okay, what are the top people doing, and can I emulate like what those top people are doing? So like if the top 2% of people at Leetcode are doing problems every day, well, can you emulate that? And if you don't know, well, then just like go on YouTube and like just search, hey, how can I get better at this? And then just listen to whatever they tell you to do. Right? I think that will take you a lot farther. And then in terms of like the mindset, it's just like get okay with realizing, hey, this is going to suck at the start, but then I can still get better. And I hope somebody like hears this, hope somebody like improves. At least again, this is just like this is my mindset. This is the same mindset that I've had for the past like 20 years. This has taken me from, being raised in like a pretty poor family to improving and like going into like a good like high school, then to going into like a good college, and then to, kind of like finally where I'm at right now, where I'm, a software engineer at Walmart. And hopefully it can help like take you like towards more of like that upward trajectory if you feel like you're kind of like stuck in like this plateau area. I don't know, but yeah, it's what I've been doing, and it's what I'm going to continue doing, is learning. Again, it's the reason that I'm even recording this is that I want to get better at speaking. I want to get better at breaking down these concepts, and again, it's what I've practiced before in the past. And so if you guys do like this video, I have like 2 others that are like more strategic videos where I'm just like breaking down like here's like the strategy that I used. Also, if you want to support me, I do weekly Q&As, and it's $3 a month right now if you join my school group. So you can join that and ask me any questions that you have, and I will see you later.